Okay. Okay. Um, we did up to this much. Okay. Gita Shastre, authority, authority Adhyay. There are 18 chapters in this scripture, Bhagavad Gita. तन्मध्ये प्रथम 6 अध्याये कर्म, द्वितीय 6 अध्याये भक्ति और तृतीय 6 अध्याये ज्ञान पृथक पृथक रूपे विचारित हইয়া चरमे भक्तिर श्रेष्ठता निर्दिष्ट हইয়াছে. The first 6 chapters karma, in the second 6 chapters bhakti, and in the third 6 chapters jnana have been separately analyzed. And then finally bhakti's super excellence has been indicated. Bhakti atyanta gudh tattva. Bhakti is extremely difficult to understand, or it is a most confidential truth. অথচ জ্ঞান ও কর্মের জীবন স্বরূপ ও অর্থ সাধক বলিয়ায় ভক্তি বিষয়ক বিচারকে মধ্যস্থিত 6 অধ্যায়ে সন্নিবিষ্ট করা হইয়াছে. Consequently, moreover, because bhakti is the very life of the jnana and the karma systems, and because bhakti leads the practitioners of jnana and karma to their respective goals, the discussion on bhakti has been placed in the middle 6 chapters. एवं विध विशुद्ध भक्ति गीता शास्त्रे जीवेर चरम उद्देश्य বলিয়া উপদিষ্ট হইয়াছে. Pure bhakti has been instructed in this scripture Bhagavad Gita to be the ultimate goal of the living entities. गीतार चरमे सर्वधर्मान परित्यज्य श्लोके भगवत शरणापति যে সর্বগুহ্যতম উপদেশ ইহা পরিজ্ঞাত হইবে, it will be revealed that ultimately, in the verse sarvadharman parityajya, surrender unto the supreme personality of Godhead is the most confidential instruction. पाठको वृंद भक्तिपूत अंतःकरणे शील चक्रवर्ती महाशये टीकार सहित गीता शास्त्र मुहुर्मुहुः पाठ करतः जीवन सफल करुण. May the readers, with a mind purified by devotional service, repeatedly read this scripture Bhagavad Gita along with the commentary of Srila Chakravarti Mahashaya, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, and make their lives successful. দুর্ভাগ্যক্রমে এই পর্যন্ত শ্রীমদ্ ভগবদ গীতার যে সমস্ত টিকা ও বঙ্গানুবাদ প্রকাশিত হইয়াছে প্রায় সকলগুলি অভেদ ব্রহ্মবাদী দিগের রচিত. Unfortunately, till now, all the commentaries on Srimad Bhagavad Gita, as well as the Bengali translations that have been published, almost all of them are composed by those who follow undifferentiated impersonalism, the philosophy of undifferentiated impersonal Brahman, विशुद्ध भगवत भक्ति सम्मत टीका बा अनुवाद प्रायः प्रकाशित नाय. Practically speaking, or almost practically speaking, no commentary or translation that is in line with pure devotional service unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead has been published. He's talking of in Bengali. Shankaro Bhashya o Anandagiri Tika Sampurna Abheda Brahmavada Purna. The commentary of Shankaracharya and the sub-commentary of Anandagiri are completely filled with the philosophy of impersonalism, undifferentiated impersonal Brahman. Sridhara Swami टीका ब्रह्मवाद पूर्ण ना हইলেও তাহাদের সাম্প্রদায়িক শুদ্ধাদ্বৈতবাদের গ্রন্থ আছে. Even though Sridhar Swami's commentary is not filled with the impersonalism, there is a scent of Shuddhadvaitavada, which is in line with the disciplic, which is one of the disciplic successions. So it has traces of Shuddhadvaitavada. श्री मधुसूदन सरस्वती टीकाटी जे रूप भक्ति पोषक वाक्ये पूर्ण चरम उपदेश स्थले সেই रूप कल्याण प्रद नय. Sri Madhusudan Saraswati's commentary is filled with statements that nourish bhakti, but while discussing the ultimate instruction, it is not so. It does not present such auspiciousness. Okay, now there are some things which I should talk about here to clarify the background to all this discussion. Shankaracharya is Adi Shankaracharya. On the order of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Shiva incarnated as Shankaracharya to present impersonalism. Anandagiri is one of his famous followers who wrote a sub-commentary on Shankaracharya's Bhagavad Gita commentary. He's a very, very famous. I mean, people all the time they go through these explanations. Sridhar Swami, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur has pointed out, Sridhar Swami, he is presenting Shuddhadvaita philosophy. Now, Shankaracharya's philosophy is called Kevaladvaita philosophy. Kevaladvaitavada means the philosophy of exclusive monism. Sridhar Swami's commentary is not Kevaladvaitavada, it is Shuddhadvaitavada. Vallabhacharya's followers also state that their philosophy is Shuddhadvaitavada, purified monism, not exclusive monism. Sridhar Swami accepts the authority of Vishnu Swami for a critical portion of, for a very important portion of Srimad Bhagavatam. He has appealed to the authority of Vishnu Swami for clarification. So it is clear that for whatever reason he is following Vishnu Swami. And Vishnu Swami's ideology has been analyzed in a book on various Indian philosophies written a few hundred years back, called Sarvadarshana Sangraha, as being a Vaishnava philosophy which accepts the eternality and transcendence of Lord Vishnu, his expansions and so on. So Sridhar Swami has been identified by Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur to be actually a follower of Vishnu Swami. Generally, the impression that people have is Sridhar Swami is a follower of Adi Shankaracharya. But Sridhar Swami's commentary on he has commented on Bhagavata Purana, he has commented on Vishnu Purana, he has commented on Bhagavad Gita. His commentaries to Bhagavatam, Vishnu Purana, and Bhagavad Gita, they make it clear that the Supreme Lord is a person, the Supreme Absolute Truth is a person, and what is it? Nobody joined in. So the Supreme Absolute Truth is a person, not impersonal. So from that, specifically his commentary on Bhagavatam, make it very clear that he does not appear to be a follower of Shankaracharya. He uses Shankaracharya's terminologies, but he does not present the Siddhanta of Shankaracharya. Shri Jiva Goswami in Tattva Sandarbha points out that Sridhar Swami his writings contain traces of statements that resemble Mayavada. Baladev Vidyabhushan says that just as if you want to catch a fish, you need to put a bait, you need to put some meat, and then you catch a fish. So Sridhar Swami, he writes in such a manner that they appeal to the Mayavadis. If you carefully examine them, those places are ambiguous. This is my own discovery, that he is not writing anything which is conclusively Mayavadi, but he writes it as if it could be. But then if you yourself examine his other statements on the same topic elsewhere, then you come to the conclusion that no, it cannot be there. Therefore, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur has come to the conclusion that Sridhar Swami cannot be a follower of Shankaracharya. He is actually a follower of Vishnu Swami, one of the 4 Vaishnava founding authorities, and he is advocating Shuddhadvaitavada, not Kevaladvaitavada. Madhusudan Saraswati, very, very big name amongst Shankaracharya's followers. Some of them say that if Madhusudan Saraswati didn't appear, Madhusudan Saraswati was a contemporary of Rupa Sanatan Jiva Goswamis around that time. Extremely intelligent person, Bengali, settled in Varanasi. He defended Kevaladvaitavada from the attacks of Vyasatirtha of the Madhva line. Vyasatirtha had written a book called Nyayamrita, in which he thoroughly analyzed various shades of Kevaladvaita philosophy that have accumulated over several centuries since Adi Shankara's time. And it was a devastating critique of Kevaladvaita ideology. Madhusudan Saraswati was the one who attempted a rebuttal of that, called Advaita Siddhi, the perfection of Advaita, in which he takes up Vyasatirtha's accusations, criticisms. He tries to take it up point by point to deal with it. Then that was refuted by a follower of Vyasatirtha. That was counter-refuted by one Brahmananda Giri of the Shankara line, which was refuted by 2 other persons of the Madhva line, if I remember correctly. This is how it went. Then everything became silent. This great debate started in 1400s and ended in 1700s. By that time, the East India Company had come, and there was a mess of a different type. So Madhusudan Saraswati, sometimes he writes like a Vaishnava. Krishnat param tattvam na jane. I don't know any truth higher than Krishna. He will say in one place. Another place he will say that the highest is the impersonal Brahman. Everything else is just a delusion. All these forms, these are all delusions. No matter how attractive they are, they're all delusions. Krishna, they're all delusion. Wrote about 80 books, extremely well read. I have come across a description of Madhusudan Saraswati's life. He had studied in Navadip before going to Varanasi. Navadip was a great center of logic. The new school had been founded about 2 centuries before, 3 centuries before. Logic was very big in Navadvip, Mithila, and I think Varanasi. Thoroughly analyzed. So he was a very trained logician, extremely talented logician. When you give an argument, he will analyze it and he will refute it. He'll produce counter arguments, option 1, option 2. If you're saying this, but if what you're saying is true, then there could be consequence A, B, C, D, E. A is not right because reason 1, reason 2, reason 3. B is wrong because of reason 1, reason 2, reason 3. C is wrong because of these reasons. And D is wrong because of reasons this. So I've exhausted all possibilities. Extremely learned in scriptures and extremely learned in logic also. It has been reported that when at a later age, when he had become very popular with all these writings, when he came back to Navadip, his logic teacher, when he saw him, was trembling out of fear. This is Madhusudan, who is now Madhusudan Saraswati. So Madhusudan Saraswati, he wrote a commentary on Bhagavad Gita, which became very popular actually. And throughout North India, it became more popular than Shankaracharya's own commentary. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, you will notice, he will quote Madhusudan Saraswati sometimes. He will quote Sridhar Swami. He may quote Sridhar Swami, I don't remember, but he definitely quotes Madhusudan Saraswati. He also quotes Ramanujacharya. So some explanation needs to be given about Madhusudan Saraswati. He makes many statements just like a Vaishnava. He accepts Vishnu as a supreme deity. Of course, Shankaracharya also accepts Vishnu as a supreme deity. If you look at Shankaracharya's commentaries on Prasthanatrayi, the 3 foundations, the 10 Upanishads, Bhagavad Gita, and the Brahma Sutras, you will clearly find Shankaracharya makes it very clear that the supreme deity is Vishnu. The others are not equal to him. Makes it very clear. Madhusudan Saraswati also seems to present it like that. But nevertheless, Bhaktivinoda Thakur points out that even though he has made many statements which nourish bhakti, ultimately he messes it up. Ultimately. And he gives some, he messes it up big time, last minute. I asked Gopi Prandan Prabhu why Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur quotes Madhusudan Saraswati. He explained that it was just for preaching purposes. When you preach, you quote highly respected authorities. When they make statements that agree with you, Anuktam aviruddham anyatopi grahyam. You can quote even your opponent when the quoted statement is in line with your own teaching. श्री रामानुज स्वामीर भाष्यटी संपूर्ण भक्ति सम्मत वटे किंतु अस्मद्देशे श्री श्री गौरांग प्रभु रचिंत्य भेदाभेद शिक्षापूर्ण गीता भाष्य रूपे कोनो टीका प्रकाशित ना होइले विशुद्ध प्रेम भक्तिर आस्वादक दिगेर आनंद वृद्धि होय ना. It is a fact that the commentary of Sri Ramanuja Swami is fully in line with bhakti. But in our land, since when no commentary in the form of commentary on Bhagavad Gita that is filled with the teachings of Achintya Bheda Bheda as taught by Shri Gauranga Mahaprabhu, when such a commentary is not published, then those who relish pure prema bhakti will not experience increasing bliss. Eton nibandhan, therefore, আমরা যত্ন সহকারে শ্রী গৌরাঙ্গ অনুগত মহা উপাধ্যায় ভক্ত শিরোমণি শ্রী বিশ্বনাথ চক্রবর্তী মহাশয়ের বিরচিত টিকাটি সংগ্রহপূর্বক তদ অনুযায়ী রসিকরঞ্জন নামক বঙ্গানুবাদ সহকারে গীতা শাস্ত্র প্রকাশ করিলাম. Therefore, we have published this scripture Bhagavad Gita along with the Bengali translation named Rasikaranjan that follows Sri Vishwanath Chakravarti Mahashaya's commentary. Sri Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, he is the crest jewel of the devotees, and he was a Maha Upadhyay. He was a great teacher of the teachers, and he was a follower of Sri Gauranga Mahaprabhu. So with great care we have published Bhagavad Gita with his commentary and a Bengali translation that follows his commentary. Sriman Mahaprabhu Shiksha Sammata Sri Baladev Vidyabhushan Krita ekti Gita Bhashya ache. There is a commentary on Bhagavad Gita by Sri Baladev Vidyabhushana that is in line with the teachings of Sri Mahaprabhu. Baladever টিকাটি বিচার পর কিন্তু চক্রবর্তী মহাশয়ের টিকাটি বিচার ও প্রীতি রস এতদ উভয় বিষয়ে পরিপূর্ণ. বিশেষতঃ চক্রবর্তী মহাশয়ের শ্রীমদ্ ভাগবতের টিকাটি সর্বদেশে প্রচারিত ও সম্মানিত হওয়ায় চক্রবর্তী মহাশয়ের টিকাটি আপাততঃ প্রকাশ করিলাম. Just 1 minute, let me just turn off this. Okay. Where am I? Okay. Baladev's commentary is analytical, but Chakravarti Mahashaya's commentary is filled with both analysis and the rasa of love of Godhead. Both. Specifically, because Chakravarti Mahashaya's commentary on Srimad Bhagavata is published, or how do I say, has reached in all places. It is everywhere, and because it is respected everywhere. So therefore, right now I am publishing Chakravarti Mahashaya's टीका. Chakravarti Mahashayer বিচার সরল এবং সংস্কৃত ভাষা প্রাঞ্জল, সাধারণ পাঠক অনায়াসে তাহা বুঝিতে পারিবে. Chakravarti Mahashaya's analysis is simple, and his Sanskrit is clear. The ordinary readers will be able to understand his writing without difficulty. রসিকরঞ্জন সাধ্যমতো সরল ভাষায় লিখিত হইল। As much as possible, রসিকরঞ্জন has been written in a simple language. যে সমস্ত দুরূহ শব্দ অপরিহার্য রূপে ব্যবহৃত হইল সেই সকল শব্দের অর্থ টিকাতেই আছে। All the difficult words which have been used in this Rasikaranjan, unavoidably, their meanings can be found in the tika, in the commentary of Vishwanath Chakravarti. পূর্ব অনুবাদকগণ অনুবাদ মধ্যেই ওই সকল শব্দের অর্থ ও সংস্কৃত টিকাকারে শব্দ প্রয়োগ চাতুরী প্রকাশ করিতে গিয়া অনুবাদগুলি দুর্বোধ্য করিয়াছে। The previous translators have made their commentaries difficult to understand by presenting within their translations the meaning of those words, and by using the words expertly according to the Sanskrit commentators. আমরা ওই দোষ পরিত্যাগের জন্য বিশেষ যত্ন করিয়াছি। We have taken special efforts to avoid such problems. আমাদের অনুবাদ সহ গীতা শাস্ত্র যদি পাঠকবর্গের প্রীতিকর হয় তবে আমরা অনেক শুদ্ধ ভক্তি সম্মত বৈদান্তিক গ্রন্থ বেদান্ত সূত্র ভাষ্য ও উপনিষদ ভাষ্য ও এই প্রণালী ক্রমে প্রকাশ করিব। If the Gita Shastra is pleasing to our readers along with our translation, then we will publish many books related to Vedanta in line with Shuddha Bhakti, such as a commentary on Vedanta Sutra, commentaries on the Upanishads, in the same system. Okay, so let me see what else is there. Okay, then we come to the text, but I would like to, before we take up the text, okay, let me do one thing. One minute. Okay, in all of my other books, Srimad Bhagavatam, Sri Ishopanishad, etc., the system is that I give the original verse, its English transliteration, word for word Sanskrit English equivalents, translations and purports. This makes the book very authentic and scholarly and makes the meaning self-evident. I was not very happy therefore when I had to minimize my original manuscript, but later on, when the demand for Bhagavad Gita as it is considerably increased, I was requested by many scholars and devotees to present the book in its original form. Thus, the present attempt is to offer the original manuscript of this great book of knowledge with full parampara explanation in order to establish the Krishna consciousness movement more soundly and progressively. Now, Prabhupada's commentary to Bhagavad Gita, it is based on Bhaktivinoda Thakur's second Bengali translation called Vidwad Ranjan. But Vidwad Ranjan contains a lot of content from his own Rasika Ranjan itself, and as we will see later on, some of the translations are directly coming from Vidwad Ranjan, which is identical with Rasika Ranjan, which itself is coming from Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's commentary. So you will come across places where Prabhupada's commentary, Prabhupada's translations are reflecting Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. Some places. Our Krishna consciousness movement is genuine, historically authorized, natural and transcendental due to its being based on Bhagavad Gita as it is. It is gradually becoming the most popular movement in the entire world, especially amongst the younger generation. It is becoming more and more interesting to the older generation also. Older gentlemen are becoming interested, so much so that the fathers and grandfathers of my disciples are encouraging us by becoming life members of our great society, the International Society for Krishna Consciousness in Los Angeles. Many fathers and mothers used to come to see me to express their feelings of gratitude for my leading the Krishna consciousness movement throughout the entire world. Some of them said that it is greatly fortunate for the Americans that I have started the Krishna consciousness movement in America. But actually, the original father of this movement is Lord Krishna himself, since it was started a very long time ago, but is coming down to human society by disciplic succession. If I have any credit in this connection, it does not belong to me personally, but it is due to my eternal spiritual master, His Divine Grace Om Vishnupada Paramahamsa Parivrajakacharya Ashtottara Shata Shishimad Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada. If personally I have any credit in this matter, it is only that I have tried to present Bhagavad Gita as it is, without any adulteration. Before my presentation of Bhagavad Gita as it is, almost all the English editions of Bhagavad Gita were introduced to fulfill someone else's personal ambition. But our attempt in presenting Bhagavad Gita as it is to present the mission of the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna. Our business is to present the will of Krishna, not that of any mundane speculator like the politician, philosopher or scientist, for they have very little knowledge of Krishna despite all their other knowledge. When Krishna says Manmana Bhava Madbhakto Madhyaji Mam Namaskuru, etc., we, unlike the so-called scholars, do not say that Krishna and his inner spirit are different. Krishna is absolute, and there is no difference between Krishna's name, Krishna's form, Krishna's qualities, Krishna's pastimes, etc. This absolute position of Krishna is difficult to understand for any person who is not a devotee of Krishna in the system of parampara, disciplic succession. Generally, the so-called scholars, politicians, philosophers and swamis, without perfect knowledge of Krishna, try to banish or kill Krishna when writing commentary on Bhagavad Gita. Such unauthorized commentary upon Bhagavad Gita is known as Mayavada Bhashya, and Lord Chaitanya has warned us about these unauthorized men. Lord Chaitanya clearly says that anyone who tries to understand Bhagavad Gita from the Mayavadi point of view will commit a great blunder. Mayavada Bhashya Shunile Hoy Sarvanash. The result of such a blunder will be that the misguided student of Bhagavad Gita will certainly be bewildered on the path of spiritual guidance and will not be able to go back to home, back to Godhead. Our only purpose is to present this Bhagavad Gita as it is, in order to guide the conditioned student to the same purpose for which Krishna descends to this planet once in a day of Brahma, or every 8,600,000,000 years. This purpose is stated in Bhagavad Gita, and we have to accept it as it is. Otherwise, there is no point in trying to understand the Bhagavad Gita and its speaker, Lord Krishna. Lord Krishna first spoke Bhagavad Gita to the Sun God some hundreds of millions of years ago. We have to accept this fact and thus understand the historical significance of Bhagavad Gita without misinterpretation on the authority of Krishna. To interpret Bhagavad Gita without any reference to the will of Krishna is the greatest offense. Interpretation may be required when the literal meaning is clearly inapplicable, but one has to do it by checking whether it is in line with the will of Krishna. Otherwise, it is the greatest offense. In order to save oneself from this offense, one has to understand the Lord as a Supreme Personality of Godhead as he was directly understood by Arjuna, Lord Krishna's first disciple. In the history of Gita studies in English, this is a very important point that Prabhupada has contributed. If you want to understand the teachings of Bhagavad Gita, you have to understand the Bhagavad Gita the way Arjuna understood it. The Bhagavad Gita is a conversation between Krishna and Arjuna. Krishna objects to Arjuna's understandings, Arjuna's way of thinking in the second chapter, then in the third chapter also. The next time, then the fourth chapter also, Arjuna asks some questions, but from that point onwards, Krishna does not express any disagreement with Arjuna. We will see in the 10th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna will describe Krishna as he is being described by the sages. And we will note that Krishna does not have any problem with that. When Arjuna does say something wrong, Krishna corrects it. So when Krishna doesn't correct Arjuna, we should understand that Arjuna's statement is correct. So this is a seminal point contributed by Prabhupada in the field of Gita studies in English. Even though so much has been written by various scholars on the philosophy of Bhagavad Gita, this is a very important point. You have to analyze Arjuna's statement to understand what is his understanding of Krishna, and your understanding should be in line with Arjuna's understanding. Such understanding of Bhagavad Gita is really profitable and authorized for the welfare of human society in fulfilling the mission of life. The Krishna consciousness movement is essential in human society, for it offers the highest perfection of life. How this is so is explained fully in the Bhagavad Gita. Unfortunately, mundane wranglers, argumentative persons, have taken advantage of Bhagavad Gita to push forward their demoniac propensities and mislead people regarding a right understanding of the simple principles of life. Everyone should know how God or Krishna is great, and everyone should know the factual position of the living entities. Everyone should know that a living entity is eternally a servant, and that unless one serves Krishna, one has to serve illusion in different varieties of the three modes of material nature, and thus wander perpetually within the cycle of birth and death. Even the so-called liberated Mayavadi speculator has to undergo this process. So this Mayavadi speculator, he may imagine that he is liberated, but actually he has to go through the cycle of birth and death, because he is not surrendering unto Krishna's lotus feet. This knowledge constitutes a great science, and each and every living being has to hear it for his own interest. People in general, especially in this age of Kali, are enamored by the external energy of Krishna, and they wrongly think that by advancement of material comforts, every man will be happy. They have no knowledge that the material or external nature is very strong, for everyone is strongly bound by the stringent laws of material nature. A living entity is happily the part and parcel of the Lord, and thus his natural function is to render immediate service to the Lord. This is a point that Prabhupada brings up elsewhere. Krishna is closest to us, so our natural function is to render immediate service to the Lord, direct service to the Lord. Even in the spiritual world, we learn from Madhurya Kadambini, they serve Krishna and they serve those who please Krishna. So they directly serve Krishna also. Each one directly serves Krishna and indirectly serves Krishna. Indirectly serves Krishna means they try to please those who please Krishna directly. They themselves also want to directly please Krishna. Both are there. In various ways, of course. There are different ways. That is a very, very detailed subject, which will be covered in the Nectar of Devotion, a summary study of Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. By the spell of illusion, one tries to be happy by serving his personal sense gratification in different forms, which will never make him happy. Instead of satisfying his own personal material senses, he has to satisfy the senses of the Lord. That is the highest perfection of life. There are various degrees of perfections, but the highest perfection is this. It is to satisfy the senses of the Supreme Lord. The Lord wants this and he demands it. So that he wants this and that he demands it is explicit from Bhagavad Gita. We will see that. one has to understand the central point of Bhagavad Gita. So this is the central point of Bhagavad Gita. The Bhagavad Gita itself notes which portion of its teachings is the central teaching, and which portion are not central, they are peripheral teachings. Right in Bhagavad Gita itself, we see in the 15th chapter, from text 16 onwards, Lord Krishna, he talks about his own position. Then he says, this is the essence of all scriptures. So this is the first time where Krishna explicitly says this is the essence of all scriptures. Obviously, it is the essence of Bhagavad Gita also. Then in 18th chapter, Krishna talks about, so far he says, this is just before 18.65. Before 18.65, he says, I have taught you that which is more confidential. Now I will tell you that which is most confidential. Then he speaks, Manmana bhav madbhakto madhyajimam namaskuru, and then sarvadharman parityajamam ekam sharanam vraja. And then he says, one who preaches this most confidential teaching to my devotees is most dear to me. So most confidential. So here also we note Krishna himself as grading. He is presenting a hierarchy of his own teachings within the Bhagavad Gita. Certain teachings are confidential, certain teachings are more confidential, certain teachings are most confidential. Even though they're all from within Bhagavad Gita, there's a gradation there. So we can understand from that certain teachings of Bhagavad Gita constitute the central teachings of Bhagavad Gita. So from that only we understand that the Lord wants this and he demands it. He wants all the living entities to do nothing else other than to serve him. And not only does he just express his wish, he also demands it. Sarvadharman parityajya mamekam sharanam vraja is a demand. It is a statement in the imperative. One has to understand the central point of Bhagavad Gita. Our Krishna consciousness movement is teaching the whole world this central point, and because we are not polluting the theme of Bhagavad Gita as it is, anyone seriously interested in deriving benefit by studying the Bhagavad Gita must take help from the Krishna consciousness movement for practical understanding of Bhagavad Gita under the direct guidance of the Lord. We hope therefore that people will derive the greatest benefit by studying Bhagavad Gita as it is, as we have presented it here. And if even one man becomes a pure devotee of the Lord, we shall consider our attempt a success. A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, 12th of May 1971, Sydney, Australia. Okay, where am I? Okay, let's go back to this. Let me... Where am I here? Okay, so then let me get back into presentation. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Chandro Vijayate Tamam. All glories or supreme glories to Shri Krishna Chaitanya Chandra. Srimad Bhagavad Gita, first chapter. Dhritarashtrovacha dharmakshetre kurukshetre samaveta yutsavaha mamakah pandavaschaiva kimakurvata sanjaya. Where is it? Dhritarashtra said, O Sanjay, after my sons and the sons of Pandu assembled in the battle in the place of pilgrimage at Kurukshetra, desiring to fight, what did they do? This is Bhaktivinoda Thakur's Rasika Ranjan. धृतराष्ट्र कहिलेन, हे संजय, धर्मभूमि कुरुक्षेत्रे दुर्योधनादि आमार पुत्रगण ओ युधिष्ठिर प्रभृति पांडव सकल युद्धाभिलाषे समवेत हইয়া কি করিলেন? What did my sons headed by Duryodhana and the Pandavas headed by Yudhishthir, after assembling with the desire for war in Kurukshetra, a land of dharma, do, O Sanjay? Let's see if I think I dealt with this. Okay. अथ अर्जुनस्य शोकमोहौ कथं भूतौ इत्यपेक्षायां महाभारतवक्ता श्रीवैशम्पायनः जन्मेजयं प्रति तत्र भीष्मपर्वणि कथाम् अवतारयति। धृतराष्ट्रोवाच इति। How did Arjuna come upon lamentation and delusion? Anticipating this question, the speaker of Mahabharata, Sri Vaishampayana, tells Janmejaya in the Bhishma Parva of Mahabharata the following narration, and he introduces it with the words Dhritarashtra Uvacha. Kurukshetre Yutsavah Yudhartam Sangataha Mamakaha Duryodhanadyaha Pandavascha Yudhishthiradayaha Kim Kritavantaha Tadbruhi. Tell me what they did. Nano Yutsava iti tvam bravishyeva ataha युद्धमेव कर्तुम उद्यताः ते तदपि किम् अकुर्वते इति केन अभिप्रायेण पृच्छसि इत्यत आह धर्मक्षेत्रे इति. One might object, Dhritarashtra might object, no, Sanjaya might object. You yourself are saying they assembled in order to fight. They wanted to fight. So they must have prepared themselves for war. Then why are you asking this question? What did they do? What is your intention behind this question? Kurukshetram Deva Yajanam iti shrutehe tat kshetrasya dharma pravartakatvam prasiddham. From the Shruti we understand that Kurukshetra is a place where the Devas engage in worship. So it is well known that this field of Kuru impels one to engage in dharma. Ataha tat samsargam mahimna yadi adharmikanam api duryodhanadinam krodhan nivritya dharme matihi syat पांडवाः तु स्वभावत एव धार्मिकाः ततः बंधु हिंसनम् अनुचितम् इति उभयेषामपि विवेकः उद्भूते संधिः अपि संभाव्यते. By the glorious association with Kurukshetra, if Duryodhana and others who are adharmic, they may attain an inclination to engage in dharma by becoming free from anger. The Pandavas, on the other hand, are naturally dharmic. Therefore, both parties might have discriminated and come to the intelligent conclusion that inflicting violence upon one's own relatives is inappropriate. When such an intelligent conclusion arises, there is a possibility that they may declare a truce. A truce means a peace, that we don't want a war. ततश्च मम आनंद एवेति संजयं प्रति ज्ञापयितुम् इष्टो भावः बाह्यः. So Dhritarashtra externally wants to, externally is posing himself as being very delighted. Then I will become very happy. He wants to convey this to Sanjaya, but this is his external intention. Abhyantarastu sandhau sati purvavat sa kantakameva Rajyam mad atmajanam iti me durvara eva vishadaha. But his internal thought process is, if a truce happens, then my sons will only experience a kingdom filled with thorns like before, and so my dejection will be unavoidable. I will certainly be dejected. Sakantaka and Nishkantaka Rajya is a very important concept in the Arthashastras. Kings never desire to have a kingdom with people who constantly give them trouble, intentionally or unintentionally. They want to eradicate people in their kingdoms because of whom their own purposes cannot be achieved. Such obstructors are referred to as thorns. A very commonly used expression in the Arthashastras. So Dhritarashtra's thought process is that till now Duryodhana and others, they were ruling the kingdom, but the Pandavas were more popular, and my sons were not getting that popularity. So therefore these Pandavas are thorns. They should be removed. Tasmad asmakinah Bhishmah tu. What is this? This is not correctly typed. Something is wrong here. Wait a minute. Okay, wait. Let me open another version. Let me see if Bhishmastu Arjunena Durjaya Eva. Okay, so I get it. Let me go back. Where is it? It's here. Okay. Okay, this is where they have typed it wrong. Okay. तस्माद् अस्माकीनः भीष्मः तु अर्जुनेन दुर्जयः एव इत्यतः युद्धमेव श्रेयः तद्देव भूयात् इति तु तन्मनोरथ उपयोगी दुर्लक्ष्यः. Dhritarashtra's evil intention was that a war is actually good for us, so let it happen. That was his internal ambition, because Bhishma belonged to them, and Bhishma was supposed to be unconquerable by Arjuna. So therefore they thought that by the time this war is over, the Kauravas would have won it. Atra dharma kshetra iti kshetra padena dharmasya dharma avatarasya saparikara yudhishthirasya dhanya sthaniyatvam tat palakasya Shri Krishnasya krishi balassthaniyatvam Krishna krita nanavidha sahayasya jalasechana setu bandhanadi sthaniyatvam Shri Krishna samharya duryodhanader धान्य द्वेषी धान्याकार तृण विशेष स्थानीयत्वं च बोधितं सरस्वत्या. By using this expression dharma kshetra, the expression kshetra The word kshetra conveys the following. Dharma refers to Yudhishthir. It's an incarnation of Dharma. And Yudhishthir was there with his associates. So from this we can understand that Yudhishthir and his associates were like crops growing in a field. And they were protected by Sri Krishna, who is like the farmer who plows the fields. And Krishna's help, the various forms of help that Krishna had rendered, they can be compared to pouring water on those crops so that they can grow, so that dams are built in the fields in such a manner that water does not unnecessarily go to those crops which don't require them. And Duryodhana and others are comparable to those kinds of grass or weeds which resemble these crops, but which actually destroy these crops. Duryodhana and others were meant to be destroyed by Sri Krishna. So all of this understanding can be derived from this very expression dharma kshetre. Because of Saraswati, Dhritarashtra uttered this expression even without his intention. He spells it out that this is what is the situation. Text 2. Sanjaya Vacha. Text 2 and 3 actually. Drishtva tu pandavanikam vyudham duryodhanastada acharyam upasangamya raja vachanam abravit pashyaitam panduputranam acharyam hatim chamum vyudham drupadaputrena tava shishyena dhimata. In general, I'll be reading Prabhupada's translation. Sometimes Prabhupada's translation follows Baladev Vidyabhushan, in which case I will nevertheless read it. And then when we come to Rasikaranjan and when we come to Sarartha Varshini, we will see how Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur renders it. Sanjay said, O king, after looking over the army arranged in military formation by the sons of Pandu, King Duryodhana went to his teacher and spoke the following words. Rasikaranjan, Sanjay bolilen, Maharaj, पांडव दिगेर सैन्य सामंत सकल के व्यूह निर्माण पूर्वक अवस्थान करिते अवलोकन करतः राजा दुर्योधन द्रोणाचार्येर निकट गमन करिया कहिलेन आचार्य पांडवगणेर महती सेनानी निरीक्षण करुन ताहारा आपनार शिष्य द्रुपदपुत्र धीमान दृष्टिद्युम्न द्वारा व्यूह रचना करिया अवस्थान करितेच्छे. This is already covered in Prabhupada's translation. Sarartha Varshini. Vidita tad abhiprayah tad ashamsitam yuddhameva bhavet kintu tan manoratha pratikulam iti manasi kritva drishtveti. Sanjaya, he considered in his mind that first of all he understood Dhritarashtra's intention, and in his mind he thought that certainly a war is going to happen. That war that Dhritarashtra had hoped would happen would certainly happen, but it would be unfavorable to his ambitions. So keeping this in mind, he spoke Drishtva, spoke the text beginning Drishtva. Drishtveti vyudham vyuhar rachanaya avasthitam Raja Duryodhanaha Santar bhayam uvacha Pashyaitam iti navabhi shlokaihi. So with some fear, he spoke 9 verses beginning Pashyaitam. द्रुपदपुत्रेण दृष्टद्युम्नेन तव शिष्येणेति स्ववदार्थम् उत्पन्नः इति जानता अपि त्वया अयम् अध्यापितः इति तव मन्दबुद्धित्वम् धीमता इति शत्रोः अपि त्वत्तः सकाशात् त्वद्वध उपाय विद्या गृहीत्वा इति अस्य महाबुद्धित्वं फलकालेऽपि पश्यत इति भावः. When Duryodhana speaks to Drona, he refers to Drishtadyumna as the son of Drupada. He also mentions that Drishtadyumna is a disciple of Drona. So what he wants to point out in this is Drishtadyumna was born in order to kill Drona. This comes in Mahabharata. Drupada and Drona had a long-standing quarrel, and Drupada wanted a son who can kill him. So he did a lot of austerities. He even took up the vow of brahmacharya to serve priests in order to convince them that they should do this. A lot of things had happened. So Drishtadyumna was born as so that Drona could be killed. Drona knew this. This was public information. So, but nevertheless, despite knowing this, in spite of knowing this, when Drishtadyumna came to Drona for military training, he accepted him as a student and he trained him. So according to Duryodhana, this indicates that Drona was dull-headed, whereas he uses the word dhimata to refer to Drishtadyumna. This word indicates that he is very intelligent, Drishtadyumna, greatly intelligent, because he will learn from you, his enemy, on how to kill you. He will learn all those techniques of killing you from you, even though you are his enemy. So now you see at the end what it has come to. See for yourself what has come to, what consequence you are supposed to face. This is the implication. Text 4, 5 and 6. Atra shura maheshwasa bhimarjuna sama yudhi yuyudhano viratascha drupadascha maharatha drishta ketusche kitana kashirajascha viryavan purujit kuntibhojascha shaibhyascha narapungavah yudhamanyascha vikranta uttamaujascha viryavan saubhadro draupadeyascha sarva eva maharathaha. Here in this army are many heroic bowmen equal in fighting to Bhima and Arjuna. Great fighters like Yudhana, Virata and Drupada. There are also great heroic powerful fighters like Drishtaketu, Chaikitana, Kashiraja, Purujit, Kuntibhoja and Shaibhya. There are the mighty Yudhamanyu, the very powerful Uttamauja, the son of Subhadra and the sons of Draupadi. All these warriors are great chariot fighters. रसिकरंजन এই সেনা নিচয়ের মধ্যে মহেশ্বাসা ভীমার্জুন ও তৎ সমকক্ষ বীর সমস্ত উপস্থিত যুযুদান অর্থাৎ সাত্যকী বিরাট ও মহারথ দ্রুপদ দৃষ্টকেতু চৈকিতান বীর্যবান কাশীরাজ পুরুজিত কুন্তিভোজ ও নরশ্রেষ্ঠ শৈব্য বলবান युधामन्य वीर उत्तमौजा सुभद्रा पुत्र अभिमन्यु द्रौपदीर गर्भजात पंचपुत्र ह्यरा सकलय महारथ अत्र चंवाम महान्तः सारार्थवर्षिणि अत्र च मां महान्तः शत्रुभिः छेत्तुम् अशक्या विश्वासाः धनुषि येषां ते. In this army, this is Duryodhana speaking, there are many great bowmen, which means that their bows could not be destroyed by their opponents. Yuyudhanaha, Satyakihi, Saubhadraha, Abhimanyu. Yuyudhana refers to Satyaki. Saubhadra, the son of Subhadra, refers to Abhimanyu. Draupadeyaha, Yudhishtiradibhyah panchabhyah jataha prativindhyadayaha. The sons of Draupadi are those born from Yudhishthir and the others. These are 5 sons, headed by Prativindhya. Prativindhya was Yudhishthir's son. Maharathadinam Lakshanam. The characteristics of Maharatha and so on are set out in the scriptures. Maharatha is a title. Literally it means a great chariot fighter, but it is a technical expression with a particular meaning. Eko dashasahasrani yodhayed yastu dhanvinam shastra shastra pravinascha maharatha iti smritaha. A person is called a Maharatha, a great chariot fighter, if he can single-handedly fight with 10,000 bowmen, and he is well versed in the usage of scriptures, usage of weapons and the scriptures describing them. Amitan yodhayed yastu sa eva ati rathasmritaha. Atiratha, this is another title. Atiratha refers to one who can fight with an unlimited number of opponents. Rathi chaikena yodha tanyunortha rathasmritaha. One who can fight against one warrior is known as a Rathi, chariot fighter. And a person who cannot even fight with one warrior is known as an Ardharatha, half a chariot fighter. Then text 789. Asmakam tu vishishtaye, asmakam tu vishishtaye, tannibodha, tan nibodha, dvijottama. Nayaka mama sainyasya sangyartham tan bravimi te bhavan bhishmascha karanascha kripascha samitinjayah ashwathama vikarnascha saumadattir jayadratah अन्ये च बहवः शूरा मदर्थे त्यक्त जीविताः नाना शस्त्र प्रकरणाः सर्वे युद्ध विशारदाः. But for your information, O best of the Brahmanas, let me tell you about the captains who are especially qualified to lead my military force. There are personalities like you, Bhishma, Karna, Kripa, Ashwathama, Vikarna, and the son of Somadatta called Bhurishrava, who are always victorious in battle. There are many other heroes who are prepared to lay down their lives for my sake. All of them are well equipped with different kinds of weapons, and all are experienced in military science. Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Rasikaranjan, হে গুরু, আমাদের যে সমস্ত সেনানায়ক আছেন, আপনার জ্ঞানার্থে তাহাদের নাম কীর্তন করিতেছি। রণবিজয়ী আপনি, ভীষ্ম, কর্ণ, অশ্বত্থামা, বিকর্ণ, সোমদত্তপুত্র ভূরিশ্রবা ও জয়দ্রথ, এতদ ব্যতীত বিবিধ অস্ত্র শস্ত্র সম্পন্ন অন্যান্য বহুতর যুদ্ধ বিশারদ বীর পুরুষগণ আমার নিমিত্ত প্রাণ দিতে উদ্যত আছেন. This meaning is the same as what has been presented by Prabhupada in the translation. Sararthavarshini asmakameti nibodha buddhyasva sanyartham samyak jnanartham. Duryodhana is conveying these details to Dronacharya so that he can understand things clearly. and so that he can give a complete picture of the situation. Somadatti Bhurishrava त्यक्तजीविताः इति जीवितत्यागेन अपि यदि यद् उपकारः स्यात् तदा तम् अपि कर्तुं प्रवृत्ताः इत्यर्थः. They have given up their lives, means they are willing, they are ready to do that by which Duryodhana can be benefited, even by giving up their lives. Vastutastu mayai te nihata purvameva nimittumatram bhavasavya niti bhagavadukter Duryodhana Saraswati satyameva hasma. But in reality, because the Supreme Personality of Godhead will say later on that all of these people have already been destroyed by me. You just become my instrument, O Savyasachi. Lord Krishna will state this later on. So on the basis of that statement, we understand that Duryodhana's words were factually true. It was literally true that they're ready to give up their lives, means they are going to die actually. Text 10. Aparyaptam tadasmakam balam bhishmabhirakshitam paryaptam tutemetesham balam bhimabhirakshitam. Prabhupada's translation here follows Baladeva Vidyabhushana. Our strength is immeasurable and we are perfectly protected by grandfather Bhishma, whereas the strength of the Pandavas, carefully protected by Bhima, is limited. Rasikaranjan. Bhishma Kartrik Parirakshita Amadiger Dalabal Prachur Naher. Kintu Bhimasen Rakshita Pandav Sena Prachur. Our the strength that we have, the strength of our armed forces is not, the strength of our armed forces which have been well protected by Bhishma is not abundant. But the army of the Pandavas protected by Bhimasena, that is abundant. With different meaning. Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur, Sararthorshini. Aparyaptam, aparipurnam, Pandavai saha yodhum akshamam ityartha. Aparyaptam indicates that Duryodhana felt that his army was incapable of standing in battle against the Pandavas. It was incomplete, it was insufficient. Bhishmena atisukshma buddhina shastra shastra pravinena abhitaha rakshitam api bhishmasya ubhaya paksha patitvat. This is because even though Bhishma had extremely fine intelligence, and even though he was expert in weapons and scriptures, even though the army was protected by Bhishma with these characteristics, still Bhishma was partial to both the sides. Bhishma wanted to benefit the Kauravas and the Pandavas. Etesham Pandavanam too, but on the side of the Pandavas, Bhimena Sthula Buddhina Shastra Shastra Anabhigyena Api Rakshitam Paryaptam Paripurnam Asmabhi Saha Yuddhe Pravinam Ityarthaha. But Duryodhana thought that on the side of the Pandavas, on the other hand, even though Bhima has a very gross intelligence, he does not have a fine intelligence, and even though he is not experienced in weapons or the scriptures, their army has been protected by him, and that is complete, that is sufficient, that has sufficient expertise to deal with us in battle. implicit is the idea that Bhima only wanted to do good to the Pandava army. Bhima never wanted to do good to the Kaurava army. On the other hand, Bhishma, he wants to do good to both armies. So Duryodhana's words carry this meaning. It also has the other sense. This is an ambiguous statement. This translation follows Baladeva Vidyabhushana. At a later point in time, when we have to go through Baladeva Vidyabhushana, we'll come to that. Ayaneshu cha sarveshu yatha bhagam avastitaah bhishmamevabhirakshantu bhavantas sarva hi tasya sanjanayan harsham kuruvriddhah pitamahah simhanadam vinadyochai shankham dadmau pratapavan. These are texts 11 and 12. All of you must now give full support to Grandfather Bhishma as you stand at your respective strategic points of entrance into the phalanx of the army. Then Bhishma, the great valiant grandsire of the Kuru dynasty, the grandfather of the fighters, blew his conch shell very loudly, making a sound like the roar of a lion, giving Duryodhana joy. रसिक रंजन एक क्षणे अपनारा सकले स्व स्व विभाग अनुसारे व्यूह द्वारे अवस्थान पूर्वक पितामह भीष्म के रक्षा करुण अतःपर प्रबल प्रताप कुरुवृद्ध पितामह भीष्म दुर्योधने हर्षोत्पादनेर जन्य उच्चैश्वरे सिंहनाद पुरस्सर शंखध्वनि करिलेन. All of that is already covered by Prabhupada in his translation. Sarartha Varshini. Tasmad Yushmabhihi Savadhanaihi Bhavitavyam Ityaha Ayaneshu iti. So then Duryodhana told Drona as well as others, all of you should be very attentive. He conveys this in the text beginning Ayaneshu. Ayaneshu vyuha pravesha margeshu yatha bhagam vibhaktaah swam swam ranabhumim aparityajyaiva avastitaah bhavantah bhishmam eva abhitah tatha rakshantu yatha anyaihi yudhyamanah ayam prishtattah kaischit na hanyate bhishma balena eva asmakam jivitam iti bhavah. So all of you divide yourselves according to your respective divisions within the army. Situate yourselves at the entrances within the vyuha. Now I'm not going to start explaining what a vyuha is. Most of you would know what it is. It is a war formation which moves in a particular manner, which has openings at times and closings at other times. The openings are closed. So in order to ensure that the enemies don't come inside, they need to be in the openings. So he is saying that stand in your respective openings and without giving up your place of battle, you should protect Bhishma from all sides, because Bhishma, while facing attacks from the back or in other places, he should not be killed. So protect him in such a manner that he is not killed from any direction. He implies that our life rests in the strength of Bhishma. Tatascha swasammana shravana janita harshaha tasya duryodhanasya bhaya vidvamsanena harsham sanjanayitum kuruvriddha Bhishma. And Bhishma, he became happy upon hearing that he had been honored in this manner. In order to eradicate Duryodhana's fear and in order to make him delighted, the eldest of the Kurus, Bhishma, सिंहनादम इति उपमाने कर्मणि चेति नमन सिंह इव विनद्य इति अर्थः. He blew his conch, producing the sound that resembled the sound of a lion. He gives some grammatical point here which I will not deal with. Texts 13 and 14. ततः शंखाश्च भैर्यश्च पणवानक गोमुखाः सहसैवाभ्यहन्यन्त सशब्दस्तुमुलोऽभवत्. ततः श्वेतैर्हयैर्युक्ते महति स्यन्दने स्थितौ माधवः पाण्डवश्चैव दिव्यौ शंखौ प्रदध्मतुः. After that, the conch shells, drums, bugles, trumpets, and horns were all suddenly sounded, and the combined sound was tumultuous. On the other side, both Lord Krishna and Arjuna, stationed on a great chariot drawn by white horses, sounded their transcendental conch shells. Rasikaranjan. Shankha, Bheri, Panav अर्थात मादल एवं आनक अर्थात पटह और गोमुख नामक वाद्य यंत्र सकल सहसा बाधित हईले तुमुल शब्द उद्भूत हईल. So they played these musical instruments. Panava refers to the instrument known as a madal. Anaka is a pataha. These are all different types of percussion instruments, it appears. এইদিকে শ্রীকৃষ্ণ এবং ধনঞ্জয় শ্বেতাশ্ব সংযুক্ত পরমোৎকৃষ্ট রথে আরূঢ় হইয়া দিব্য শঙ্খধ্বনি করিলেন. And on the other side, Shri Krishna and Dhananjaya were there, or Arjuna. ततश्च उभयत्रैव युद्धोत्साहः प्रवृत्तः इत्याह तत इति. Then on both sides, meaning on both or in both armies, there was an enthusiasm for war. That enthusiasm for war was exhibited in the text beginning tataha. Panavaha, Mardalaha, Anakaha, Patahaha, Gomukhaha, Vadyavisheshaha. Oh, then we come across okay, let me deal with this. 15, 16, 17, 18. Panchajanyam Rishikesho Devadattam Dhananjaya Poundram Dadmo Mahashankham Bhimakarma Vrikodaraha Ananta Vijayam Raja Kuntiputro Yudhishthiraha Nakula Sahadevascha Sughosham Manipushpakau Kashyascha Parameshwasa Shikhandi Cha Maharathaha Drishtadyumno Viratascha Satyakischa Aparajitaha Drupado wrongly typed Drupado Draupade Yascha Sarvashah Prithvipate Saubhadrascha Mahabahu Shankhan Dadhuh Prathak Prathak. Lord Krishna blew his conch shell called Panchajanya. Arjuna blew his, the Devadatta. And Bhima, the voracious eater and performer of Herculean tasks, blew his terrific conch shell called Poundra. King Yudhishthir, the son of Kunti, blew his conch shell, the Ananta Vijaya. And Nakula and Sahadeva blew the Sughosha and Manipushpaka. That great archer, the king of Kashi, the great fighter Shikhandi, Drishtadyumna, Virata, the unconquerable Satyaki, Drupada, the sons of Draupadi and others of kings such as the mighty arm son of Subhadra, all blew their respective conch shells. Rasikaranjan, Rishikesh, Panchajanya Shankha, Arjun, Devadatta Shankha ধ্বনি করিলেন এবং ভীমকর্মা ভীমসেন পৌন্ড্র নামে মহাশঙ্খ বাজাইলেন. কুন্তিপুত্র রাজা যুধিষ্ঠির অনন্ত বিজয় নকুল সুঘোষ এবং সহদেব মণিপুষ্পক নামক শঙ্খধ্বনি করিলেন. হে পৃথিবীপতে ধৃতরাষ্ট্র, উৎকৃষ্ট ধনুর্ধারী কাশীরাজ মহারথ শিখণ্ডী ধৃষ্টদ্যুম্ন বিরাট এবং অপরাজিত সাত্যকী দ্রুপদ দ্রৌপদীর পঞ্চপুত্র এবং সুভদ্রা পুত্র মহাবাহু অভিমন্যু ইহারা সকলেই পৃথক পৃথক শঙ্খধ্বনি করিলেন. It's already covered. Sanjay is referring to Dhritarashtra. He is speaking to Dhritarashtra. He refers to him as the king, Prithivipate. Panchajanyadayah Shankhadinam Namani. Panchajanya and so on are names of conch shells. Aparajitah kenapi parajetum ashakyatvat athava chapena dhanusha rajitah pradiptah. The warriors have been described as aparajitah here. Many warriors have been enlisted and they've been described as aparajitah. The way it has been presented in the Sanskrit is, see, Satyakishcha aparajitah. Now this expression can be broken up into cha and aparajitah. See, like here, cha and aparajitah, which has this particular meaning. Those who have not been vanquished. Or these two put together, they can also be considered a single word, chapa hyphen rajitah, indicating that they shone with their bows. They all had bows with them and they were shining. Okay, that is up to text 17. I'll stop now. Vanchakalpadharibhyascha kripasindhubhyeva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Okay, questions you can ask in Telegram. So this is done. How do I get out of this? Okay.